Hi friends, my name is Aqil Ahmed, and in this particular video tutorial we will try to create a store procedure for real life problem in SQL Server. So the agenda of today's video tutorial is that we will see like how can we create a store procedure for a real life problem. So we will create the store procedure for the e-commerce website. That suppose we have a website and if a customer wants to place an order, then how the order can be placed. So we will be having the three tables. The first table will be the products table, which will contain the information about the products and the total number of stock available for a particular product. And then we have the customer table as well, so that it will contain the information about the customer. And the third table will be the order history table. So in the order history table we will insert a record as soon as an order will be placed. So before placing an order, we will check that if the quantity of a product that the customer is trying to place an order, if they are available in the stock, only then the order should be placed, otherwise order should not be placed. So we will handle all those things. So without wasting further time, let's jump to the demo. So this is my SQL Server instance, and this is the create table statement for the products. So the products table will contain the information about the products, like the product ID, which will be unique, and then the product name, unit price, like the price of the product, and the stock quantity. So when we will insert the record, we will also insert the quantity of a particular product, like whether 100 quantity is available or 500 is available. And whenever an order will be placed, then the stock quantity will be updated, like stock quantity will be stock quantity minus the number of quantity that is placed by the customer. And whenever an order will be placed, then a record will be inserted to the order history table with the product ID, quantity, and the order date will be the current date time and with the customer ID. And we can calculate the total price by the unit price of a product and the quantity, like how much quantity you want to purchase. And the customer's information will be available in the customers table, like the customer ID, first name, last name, email, phone number, and the address. So let's drop and recreate these three tables, and the tables will be created inside the school database. Okay, so I selected the school database and now I can click execute. So these tables got created now. Okay, and now let's insert some sample records into the products table. So we have the product as laptop, and the unit price of the laptop is 1000, and that stock quantity we will insert as 50. Same way for the smartphone, the product ID will be 2 and the unit price of the smartphone will be 650, and we are going to insert 100 stock quantity for the smartphone. Same way for the tablet, the unit price will be 350.5 and the stock quantity will be 75. So we can insert the three records into the products table, and then we can insert three records into the customers table as well. So right now if you select the data from these three tables, so we have three records in the products table, and then we have three records in the customers table. So now when an order will be placed, for example, if I place an order for a single laptop, then I need to pass the product ID and then the quantity, like how much laptop I want, and the customer ID, like which customer is actually placing the order. So we need the three input parameters to be passed to the store procedure. And whenever an order will be placed, then the stock quantity will be reduced to stock quantity minus quantity of the product that for which the order has been placed. Okay, so now let me open a new query window. Okay, and then I can start writing the store procedure. So the store procedure will actually accept the product ID, okay, and then the quantity, okay, and then the customer ID. So these three will be the input parameter. So let's try to create the store procedure. Okay, so we can start by writing create procedure and then the store procedure name. So I can call my procedure name as process order. Okay, and now I can give the product IDs. So I can write product ID integer, and then the second one is the quantity. Okay, and this is also integer. And now the third one is the customer ID, and this is also of type integer as begin and end. Okay, So this is how now in between the begin and end we can write the store procedure. So initially we will start the transaction, like we can say that start transaction. So we are starting the transaction because if the product stock will be available, only then we will commit the transaction and only then the order will be placed, otherwise we will roll back the transaction. So how we can start the transaction? We can write begin transaction, okay, and then we need to declare few variables. So I can say like declare variables, okay. So the first variable that we will declare is the current stock quantity. So I can say declare current stock quantity, okay, and it will be of type integer. And now the second variable that we will declare is the new stock quantity, okay. New stock quantity will be the current stock quantity minus quantity of the product that for which the order has been placed, because we want to update the up-to-date stock quantity. Suppose we had the 100 smartphone and now a person placed the orders for the 10 smartphone, then the latest or the new stock quantity should be 100 minus 10 equal to 90, okay. So that's why we have declared the two variables. Now first of all, what we will do, we will get the current stock quantity for a particular product. So I can write get the current stock quantity for a product, okay. So how we can write the query? We can write select from products, okay. So we need to select the stock quantity, okay. So I can write stock quantity, okay, from products where product ID equal to @product ID. This @product ID, this is coming as a input parameter, okay. So we will pass this value when placing an order. So now we want to get this value and we want to assign this value to the current stock quantity. So we can write current stock quantity equal to this value, okay. So this is how we can get the stock quantity and we can assign this value to the current stock quantity, okay. So this is the first query. And now before going forward, we will check if there is enough stock quantity available to fulfill the order, okay. So if a person is going to place an order, then before the order should be placed, we need to check the stock quantity, okay. So how we can check it? We can simply write an if condition, like if quantity is less than equal to current stock quantity, right. So if the quantity of the order, the quantity will be provided as the input parameter. So if the quantity will be less than or equal to the current stock quantity, only then the order should be placed. So we can write the code inside the begin and end, okay. So now in the begin and end we can write the code here, get the new stock quantity after the order, okay. So how we can get the new stock quantity? We can write set new stock quantity equal to current stock quantity minus quantity, right. So whatever is the current stock quantity, we will reduce the quantity from it. The quantity is coming from here and the current quantity is coming from the products table for a particular product. So the new quantity will be the current quantity minus quantity, okay. So this is how we can get the new stock quantity. And now we also need to calculate the total price, because we want to insert a record into the order history table and the total price is needed, okay. So for the total price as well, we can actually create a variable. So I can create a variable here. I can say declare total price, okay, and then I can give the data type as decimal 10,2, okay, and then set total price equal to, and now I can get the unit price from the products for a particular product. So I can say select from products where product ID equal to @product ID. So okay, this will get the information about the product. So I want to get the unit price, of a particular product. And now to get the total price, we need to multiply the unit price with the quantity, like how many quantity the customer wants. So we can write at the rate quantity. So this will give us the total price for the order. Okay, and now we can update the stock quantity as well with the new stock quantity in the products table. So we can write an update statement like update products set stock quantity equal to at the rate new stock quantity, where product ID equal to at the rate product ID. Okay, so this is how we can update the stock quantity in the products table. And once we have done this, then the last thing will be that we can insert a record into the order history table. So we can write the insert query, insert into order history. Okay, and then we can actually give the column name here. Okay, so let me just refresh the tables and check the order history table. So where is the order history? So this is the order history. So I can just drag and drop the columns here, so it will select all the columns from the table, but the order ID is of type identity, so I can remove this column, and for rest of the columns we can insert the data. And now the product ID will be at the rate product ID, and then at the rate quantity. Okay, now the third one is the at the rate order date. So order date will be the current date time, so I can use the get date function here, and then for the customer ID I can provide the value at the rate customer ID. And now the total price will be the at the rate total price, because we declared a variable here for the total price. Now I can close the braces here. So now the insert query will be done here. So once we updated the stock quantity in the products table, and once we inserted a record into the order history table, then we can commit the transaction. Okay, commit transaction. So I can write commit transaction here. Okay, so this will commit the transaction that the started in the beginning of the store procedure. Okay, so this is for the case that if the quantity is less than or equal to the current stock quantity. Okay, so this is the if condition. Now think of a scenario if the quantity is not less than or equal to the current stock quantity. Suppose the stock is not available and in our table. Now think of a scenario that, for example, for the laptop the stock quantity becomes 0, and if a customer try to place an order again, then the order should not be successful, and a message should be sent to the customer that the product is unavailable. Okay, so that we will do in the else condition. So we can write else, and now inside the else we can write begin and end, and now between the begin and end we will return the message that the product is unavailable. So I can say like print error message. Okay, and here we can actually write the message that error insufficient stock quantity to fulfill the order. Okay, so this message will be displayed to the customer. Okay, and then we can roll back the transaction as well. So we can then roll back the transaction. Okay, so this is how the store procedure will be created. So it accepts the 3 input parameters: product ID, quantity, customer ID. Okay, then we will start the transaction with the keyword as begin transaction. You can think of transaction as a single unit of work. Okay, so either all the code after the transaction it will be executed, all the queries they will be executed, otherwise nothing will be committed and everything will be rolled back. So we started transaction here, and after that we declared few variables, assigned some value to a variable here, and then we are checking that if the quantity that the customer wants to buy, if it is less than or equal to the current stock quantity, then we will actually go inside this particular if condition. Okay, and we will get the new stock quantity, and new stock quantity will be the current stock quantity minus the quantity that the customer has bought. Okay, and then we will get the total price of the order, and the total price will be the unit price of a product multiplied by the quantity. Okay, so this will give you the total price for the order. and then we will update the stock quantity with the new stock quantity after the purchase, and then we will insert a record into the order history table with all the proper columns. And as soon as a record has been inserted to the order history, we will commit the transaction. And in case if the quantity is not available in the stock, then we will print a message that insufficient stock quantity to fulfill the order, and then we will roll back the transaction that was started here. Okay, so this is the code for the store procedure. So let me just select the all this query and then click on execute. So you can see that the store procedure has been created. Okay, and now we can execute the store procedure. So how we can execute it? We can write exec and then the store procedure name. Now the first parameter is the product ID. So suppose I want to purchase few tablets, or suppose I want to purchase some laptop, because the calculation can be really easy here. So I can pass the value, the product ID as 1. Okay, and now suppose I want to purchase 10 laptop. Okay, so I can write the second parameter is the quantity. So I want to purchase 10 laptop. Okay, so I can pass the value 10, and suppose the order I want to place for the John Doe. So the customer ID for the John Doe is 1. So I can pass the customer ID as 1. Okay, so as soon as I will execute the store procedure, so it should insert a record into the order history table. One record should be inserted, okay, with the product ID as 1, quantity as 10, order date as today's date 2024 28th February, and the customer ID should be 1, and the total price should be the 10,000. One record should be inserted here, and then the stock quantity for the laptop, it should be reduced to 40, because right now it's 50 and we are placing an order for the 10 quantity. So the stock quantity should be reduced to 40. So let me execute this particular store procedure. So you can see that the process ran fine. Okay, one row affected and one row affected. Okay, so it seems like it was successful. So we can just check the data in the tables. So right now if you see the data, so the stock quantity has been reduced to 40 from 50. Okay, and then an order has been placed here for the 10 quantity of the laptop, and this is the current date time, and this is the total price of the order. And now suppose if a person want to place an order for the smartphone, so suppose now the Alice, the customer ID 3, okay, she want to place an order for the tablets. Okay, so the product ID for the tablet is 3, so I can pass the value 3. Okay, and now suppose she want to place an order for the 70 tablets, so I can pass the value 70 here. So now after this order only 5 tablets should be available. Okay, and she want to place the order Ellie Johnson, so the customer ID for the Ellie Johnson is 3, so we need to pass the value 3 here. So now let me execute the store procedure. So the process ran fine. Okay, and now you can check that one record got inserted to the order history table. Okay, and the stock quantity for the tablet now it's remain 5. Okay, because the last quantity was the 70 quantity. So this is working absolutely fine. But when we are executing the store procedure, so you are seeing the message like one row affected, one row affected. Okay, maybe I can show you again. So suppose if I place one more order only for one quantity, so let me execute it. So you are seeing these messages, one row affected, one row affected. Suppose if you do not want to display these messages, they will be sent over the network. So to get rid of these messages, what you can do, you can write set no count on. Okay, and then instead of create we can write the alter here, so that the store procedure can be altered. Okay, so I can select this code and I can click on execute. So the store procedure has been recreated. And now suppose let me try to place an order one more time. So this time no message should be displayed here. Okay, so let me click on execute. So now you can see that it only displayed like command completed successfully, but there is no count like one row affected and one row affected. Okay, so the set no count on, it actually suppress all those messages. So the store procedure is working fine. Right now it's placing the orders. Now let me just try to place an order for the 5 tablet, right? because only 3 tablets are available. So now if I will try to place an order for the 5 tablet, then the order should not be placed and it should display a message that the insufficient stock quantity, okay, to place the order. So let me try to pass the value as 5 here, and let's try to rerun the store procedure. So you can see that error, insufficient stock quantity to fulfill the order. So it's not the error, it's just the message here, okay. If you want to throw the error, so you can display the error message as well. In my last video I displayed the error message as well, so you can use the raise error, raise error function to display the error message, but I'm just showing the message to the customer that the order is not placed, okay. So if you see here, you should see only 4 orders right now, okay. So this is working absolutely fine, that if you will try to place an order and if the stock quantity is not available, then the order won't be placed, okay, and nothing will be reduced from the stock quantity. Yes, I think that was for today's video, and I will share the create table statement, all the queries those I used here. I will share this query with you, and the query for the store procedure as well I will share with you, so you can download it from the link in the description of the video. So I think that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching the video, and if you like the video, then please click the like button, do subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon and click on all so that you will be notified every time we will do new video. Thank you so much.